What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA show. Western Mass Climber again says detention for tardiness. We are late, and that is my fault once again. I apologize, everybody, but we are back in the mix. What's up? How's it going? Thank you for joining. Now, we have a couple of announcements to make right off the bat, just pertaining to the channel. We will, you guys can see the subscriber number, but it's pretty cool. We, excuse me. Today we hit, if I'm not mistaken, 1,331 subs, which, if I'm not mistaken, also is 11 to the third power. What's up, MGAL4 Productions? So 11 times 11 times 11 is 1,331, and that's where we were at today. Let's see if we can go higher during the show, but we shall see. Tehran says, what's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? And thank you. Welcome back. Thank you for all the support for that video we made on Friday. I think it's now at, I'm going to double check, Justin's vid about the basically what's been going down in Extreme Couture between Sean and Eric. Man, yeah, that is at 17.6K views. Still growing, but slowing down. So that, that got a lot of views, and I hope you guys found that discussion interesting on Friday, where me and Justin Justin really opened up and shared the whole situation. So it is what it is. Justin, do you have any updates that you're?
I talked to Eric yesterday, just because I want to go over the video that I made, make sure that the information was correct. He said it was a fine video, but he wants to put everything to rest. He doesn't want to talk about it anymore. He's not going to talk about it on any podcast.
Got it.
There's talk that he might talk about it on his own.
Got it.
But it's one of those situations where he wants to let a lying dog lay and just kind of let it blow over, just because the more people talk about it, the more he has to keep talking about it, and he just wants to get over the whole situation.
100%, and I think that's the way to go, and it will blow over.
And that's where I'm going. I'm on my way to the gym right now because I have a meeting with Eric at 2 o'clock. All the other coaches do.
Got it.
And
okay.
So we're heading there right now. That's why I'm driving instead of being seated. But 2 o'clock I have a meeting with him.
Andrew Nance might be new to the show. He says, LFG, let's effing go. And MGAL4 Production says, nice shirt. Beavis and Butthead, legend. Used to love that movie. And that show.
Sure, classic.
Classic for sure. Okay, so I know we don't have this written down on the topic list. I'm going to add it in here. I wanted to start off talking about this Zalal fight, Zalal versus Kattar. And there's a reason why I want to talk about it. It's a couple reasons. Now, first of all, did you see? I'm guessing you didn't see the fight, or did you see it?
No, I haven't seen any fight. The only fight that I saw was the highlight of the fight that I sent you last night.
Got it. Okay.
That Roman's really hyped about.
Yeah, I can't remember the name. You're cutting in and out a little bit, but okay. So let's talk. I want to talk to you about Zalal versus Calvin Kattar just really quickly and get your thoughts. Here's the thing. Zalal, what's up, Lane? Here's the thing. Zalal got a lot of flack and a lot of criticism from fans. People were booing him in the Apex Center, and the reason why is because they said they felt like he was, I guess, running from Kattar. And when I watched the fight, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but he was being very evasive. He's really quick. He's actually a really fun guy in interviews to listen to too. I kind of like Zalal. He had some great footwork. He was very fast. He was moving a lot on the outside, which I'm sure must be tiring. But what he said in response to all the hate and all the negativity he was getting in terms of his fighting style was, you go out there and you try and make Kattar miss as much as I did. Kattar's a legend. Look how much I made him miss. That was skill, not me running away. What is your thoughts on a fighting style like that, where it's meant more to make, more from a defensive standpoint? I mean, maybe it reminds you somewhat of Floyd Mayweather, where you're making the guy miss and then you're countering strategically. What do you think?
Hey, man, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. And what I mean is there's 1,000 different fighting out there. And the one that makes guys miss, the one that makes guys tired, the one that puts a pace on guys is that very frustrating defensive style, man. And as an offensive brawler, as a forward-moving fighter, those fighters are always frustrating because they make you miss. And next thing you know, you got to track them all the way across the cage. Then they make you miss. Then you want to track them all the way across. Then you start thinking that you need more output, because you got to hit these guys, and you get them in these situations that you think you should be able to hit them. So instead of throwing 2 3-punch combos, you're throwing 4 or 5-punch combos that you're not necessarily used to, and it's going to open you up and give the advantage to defensive fighters. So I'm actually fine with it. I mean, if it's winning fights, he beat someone like Calvin Kattar. I mean, I'm fine with the style.
Yeah, I'm fine with the two. I actually find it quite interesting, and I think maybe if more fight fans would just get a little bit more accustomed to what it's like to train just a little bit of striking, maybe a little bit of sparring, just to get an understanding of, I think, what goes into that style and what it takes and the skill it requires to execute it correctly, I think people have a greater appreciation. Okay, there's another thing that I want to bring up that Zalal said. Zalal also said in the Octagon and again on Ariel Helwani's show, he told Faraz Zahabi, who is GSP's former coach and the coach of Calvin Kattar right now, to stop cheating. And what he meant by that is he's claiming that, and other people have claimed this about GSP, that Faraz puts Vaseline on his fighters to make them slippery. And Zalal said, he's like, when I went to grab him, I think it was in the second or the third round, he's like, I had a perfect double leg. I got in perfectly, and he just slipped out. Like, I've never seen anybody slip out of my grip before. And so that was his allegation. What have you heard anything about the GSP allegations, first and foremost, about him having Vaseline?
I mean, in the past I have, and I heard about this allegation too, about taking the shot. And I mean, here's the thing. Coaches have fallen out with fighters, meaning that if this was true and this guy's fighting, under this guy for X amount of years, say he has a falling out, I think the fighter would be the first to expose him. You know what I mean? Like, hey man, like when I was working with so-and-so, like he was making me put Vaseline on my legs, for cheating, or to cheat. And it just, that's never came out. And I can understand some frustration, but, a lot of times guys will like put lotion on their skin, to say, to keep me hydrated, so from dry skin. But then when you start sweating, that lotion or whatever will start coming out of your pores.
Yeah, I've heard this.
Which in turn will make you more slippery. So it might not even be the coach. It might be just the fighter, or maybe he doesn't tell his guys to do it. He's just like kind of like maybe danced around the subject of telling his guys. So you can always be like, I never told anybody to do that. So, I mean, there's a lot of weight behind these accusations. And, and again, none of his fighters have ever come out. And, like I said, for instance, Dennis Davis, my head coach, if he had me trying to cheat every fight, and then me and him had a falling out, I think a fighter might be in a position to expose him, and that's never happened.
Very interesting. Yeah, because it would be disappointing if he is blatantly cheating, but maybe there's some loophole there. Maybe, like you said, it's a lotion that is technically legal, but they found a particular blend that when you sweat, it becomes a lubricant. I don't know. This is really fascinating. Wait, we got a couple comments from Andrew. I think Andrew's new. He says Diddy oil.
Yeah. Diddy oil. Ooh, that's a good stuff.
We also, exactly. We also have MGAL4 Productions asking about your upcoming bare knuckle fight in just about 2.5 weeks. We're almost there, which is crazy. Justin, do you have to train differently? Like try to avoid the forehead?
Yeah, man. I mean, my target mass right here is around the brows, down to the jawline, and right to the ears. Anything higher is going to be damaging. And I tell you what, it's tough, man. It's been a tough adjustment, because when I put on MMA gloves, I just sling them. And even when I wore boxing gloves and MMA gloves, I've broken my hands. I broke my left one, 3 times. I had surgery. I broke my right one twice from hitting people on the top of the head. Once was from hitting punching a hip bone. So, I'm just trying to get my hands as ready as I can. Doing a lot of hand strengthening exercises, because even when you aim, like people move their head. And if I'm aiming right at his nose and he ducks his head 2 inches, I'm going to hit him right in the forehead. So I'm trying to throw less power and more volume. Playing more of a game of tag instead of those one big knockout shots that I'm kind of known for. It's been a tough adjustment, man. But with that being said, you can practice all the time, practice a certain way. And, when the fight happens, who knows, maybe I just start winging those big bombs again. And, the only thing it'll tell is time.
MGAL4 Production says, you're so brave to face these fears. And yeah, man, bare knuckle. Whoo. Okay, well, all right, good. We'll keep keeping you guys updated as the training comes along, as we get closer to that fight. Again, that's going to be March 7th in Missoula, Montana, the day before UFC 313. So it's not going to conflict with 313, thankfully, because that's going to be such a good card. And we're going to talk about 313 a little bit today. But before we do that, we're going to first talk about Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong. There's not a ton of huge fights on this card coming up this weekend. That's why we're mostly focusing on UFC 313. Not a lot of massive names, but I think this is actually a very interesting fight. I'm a fan of both of these guys, Song Yadong. I remember in a chat room on MMA Joey's channel, I was saying that I was excited about Henry Cejudo, and everybody jumped at me and said, you like Henry Cejudo, he's lame or whatever. I think Henry Cejudo is interesting. I like the fact that he's got a great wrestling pedigree. And I know his trash talk is cringy and a little bit off-putting to a lot of people, but at least he's trying. At least he tries to say something and to do something. So that captures my attention, and I'm excited to see this fight. Justin, are you a fan of Cejudo, by the way?
Yeah, I've always been a fan of Cejudo, man. It's he's won me a lot of money when he fought Demetrius Johnson. He's won me a lot of money when he won the UFC Bantamweight Championship. I mean, this guy is an American hero to a lot of guys. I mean, Olympic champion, wrestler. Again, his trash talk is cringy. It is, but it's so cringy that you almost want to tune in just to see how cringy he's going to go on his next rant. So I like Cejudo, and I've met him a couple times. He was always really nice. Like this one time I was out with a girlfriend of mine, and we meet Cejudo, and he's like, "Hey, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you." And then he looks at the girl I was with. He's like, "You with him?" She's like, "Oh, no, we're just friends." And we were just friends. She was actually a lesbian. And he's like, "Well, if you want to come up to my room's 1503 or whatever it was." And she's like, "You're not my flavor, little guy." And it was just kind of a funny moment we had. We kind of laughed it off, and it was pretty funny. But yeah, he's a character to say the least.
His wife is very attractive. I gotta give him props there. Legend.
Oh shit! I just put him on blast like that. Oh damn! It was a long time ago. It must have been before her.
No. I'm sure this was before. I was not trying to imply that he was hitting on a chick while I think this is he's recent. Like, yeah, I'm sure this was way before that. No. Not saying that. I was trying to give him props. Let's change the topic.
Next big 10-7 news.
No. Okay, wait, let's change topic. So, all right, coming back to this fight, Song Yadong. So one thing that MGAL4 Production says is that Song Yadong, there is a big age difference. Song Yadong's young. I love Song Yadong. He's a crazy fighter. I think he trains with Team Alpha Male with Uriah Faber and those guys. And he's a really, really fun style to watch. He is way younger. Do you think that gives him a major advantage in this fight?
Man, it's tough to say. I mean, there's advantages in every fight. What about experience? I mean, experience is an advantage in my opinion. Cejudo has been there and done that. But again, he's old. He's not going to get a championship. Song Yadong is ranked like 7th. He's coming off a loss. Like, I feel like this is one of those opportunities for Song Yadong to get back in the win column against a former champion. I feel that, Henry Cejudo is kind of being a gatekeeper in this fight and to see what kind of skill level. I think Song Yadong is going to be the guy that the UFC wants to win. Henry Cejudo, saw his performance against Merab, like got out wrestled, you know what I mean? So it really tells me like how much energy and time is he putting into wrestling? When you're someone like Henry Cejudo that's wrestled their whole life, especially at a high level, like it's tiring to continue to wrestle at that level, especially at the age he's at. So how serious is he taking his training? Is he doing this for a paycheck? I mean, he's going to come out. Here's the thing. We talked about this with Sean in his last fight. Like he's going to come out and he's going to say how great his training camp was, how focused he is, how great he feels. And then when you get in there sometimes, especially at his age, you realize like, the things that I think I'm fighting for aren't that important anymore. And, you find yourself, fighting not to win, but trying not to lose instead of trying to win. And I've fallen in that category a couple times. And I believe Henry Cejudo it might fall in that category in this fight.
Well, let's see what happens. I think it'll be an interesting outcome regardless. I'm looking forward to this fight stylistically and also to see how everything pans out in the future as a result. If Song Yadong wins or if Henry Cejudo wins, that'd be pretty wild too. We got a couple comments, so we're going to move on to the next topic. Andrew Nance says, Jones, GOAT, by the way. He is the GOAT. Ilya Topuria did a great interview with the Nelk boys, or just with the main guy from Nelk recently, and he talked about how he believes that John Jones is the greatest of all time and laid out just a very clear, cogent argument about that. I agree. It's a crazy resume, and he's been on top for, as they said, not just one generation, not 2 generations, but really 3 generations of fighters. I agree with you. And when people talk about pound for pound, I'm done with that conversation, and I'll tell you why. The criteria for pound has never been clarified. It's this amorphous thing of activity plus if you shrunk all the fighters to the same size, which doesn't even make sense. All these different criteria that are floating around in an abyss. And there's been no hard numbers that's ever been assigned to particular values, no way to really weight the different factors and variables. So it's all subjective. So it's all nonsense anyways. Let's not talk about pound for pound. But GOAT, I feel you. You look like Kyle from the Nelk Boys. Dude, I've heard this so many times. That's the one people that say is my doppelganger, especially when I'm wearing a hat. Yeah, I get that a lot. We got a couple more comments. He's still the GOAT, bro. I agree. Wait, let's see. What else? Tehran, I think Jones has been on top for the last 14 years. That's so crazy. You talked about it the other day. You talked about the great ones, about Anderson Silva staying on top, victory after victory. John Jones is still on top. It's been so long. It's so crazy.
You know, here's the thing, man, and it has been a super long time. But out of that 14, and again, John Jones is in my book, one of the greatest. And he might even be the greatest. But when you talk about, being on top for 14 years, although he's been on top for 14 years, it kind of gets tarnished, when you have drug, accusations, and then you have long year layoffs. So out of that 14 years, maybe he's been active for 6 or 7. And again, I don't want to take anything away from John Jones, but when you got someone like Anderson Silva, who had 16 title defenses in a row, active, fighting the best of the best at his weight class, knocking everybody out. And then people would say, oh, well, the game has changed since. I was like, of course it has. It's just like, like the running and power running in football, like I formation in football doesn't work like it used to in the 80s and the 90s, like it does, like it's now. Now it's a passing league. There's evolution in the game, and John's been able to keep up with that evolution. With that being said, I think that's where the argument is like Anderson Silva, 16 title defenses in a row, showed up 16 times, and I don't know, man. John's definitely one of the greatest, man, but there are so many great fighters that have put together so many great resumes that it's hard for me to declare one of them the greatest.
That's fair. And we don't have to. But I do think it's fun, especially because of all the hate that all these new fans are giving John Jones. Just got to remind them, go back and watch some highlight reels and refresh your memory or build new memories of this incredible athlete. And I get that. But there's by the way, Silva also had some drug issues. So I just want to throw that out there too. But I digress. Let's keep going.
Post leg break.
Oh, yeah, fair. Okay, that's a fair point. Yeah, Connor's definitely been on the sauce for his leg. By the way, Connor didn't look too bad in that presser. Did you see the BKFC presser in Italy? He looked way more in control, normal, back down to earth, which I think is a good sign. Maybe he's finally settling down, not getting into all the partying and all the crazy stuff. Maybe that's the indication we're going to see him soon. I have no idea. Okay, let's talk about UFC 313. So we're starting at the bottom of the card. Let me just pull it up here on the left for myself. So we've got.
I'm connecting to the internet right now. Sorry, so it's gonna. I'm walking.
Okay. So hold on one second. I'm just gonna look up the full fight card. But we've got the first fight that I want to talk about is King Green versus. Hold on. Is this on 313 or is this weekend? Hold on. I may be mixing this up. Let me double check when King Green is fighting. Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah, I think he's on. Is he in the prelims? Okay, but he's fighting Mauricio Ruffy. I think I'm pronouncing that last name right. So, Justin, first and foremost, we're seeing King Green back, Bobby Green, after. Let me see when his last fight was. Are you a fan of King Green?
Love him.
What do you like?
I'm a bigger fan of this guy, though.
Which guy?
See how good this looking guy over here, Puna Soriano, man.
Come on, Puna.
UFC win.
He just won. He just won his last a couple weeks ago. Yeah. So Bobby Green is coming off his recent loss to Paddy Bill. Why do you like Bobby Green, by the way? All right, guys. I think we may have lost Justin. Hold on. 1 second. Let me respond. Hey, Puna. Tell Puna I'm a fan. MGal4 Production says. Okay, hold on. Okay, we lost you for a bit there. All right, so are you stationary now?
I'm stationary. Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, what do you like about Bobby Green? You were saying that you're a fan.
I think for one, I love his trash talk. When I had my UFC debut, Bobby was on the same card, and he just was. I don't know, man. It's just like his energy was contagious, and so every fight before you fight in the UFC, like either Sean Shelby or Dana White comes out and gives you guys a breakdown of the opportunity that you're given and this and that, and it's a really motivational speech. And the whole time, Dana, well, for one, back it up. Darren Cruikshank, my college roommate, fought Bobby Green for the King of the Cage World Championship. Bobby beat him by guillotine choke. Darren was super tough. So anybody that beat Darren, at that time or even now, super tough dude. So that's kind of what put me on the map to Bobby Green to become the King of the Cage World Champion. Then fast forward, I make my UFC debut. Bobby Green's on the same card, and Dana White's given this speech, and think of all the fighters are in this like back room at the Apex, and Dana White's like dead serious, And then you just have Bobby Green in the very back, like just chirping him the whole time, just screaming obnoxious things like that don't make any sense to what Dana's talking about. And even Dana would just stop and be like, "What is this guy talking about?" Like, he's like, "Bobby, what the hell?" And then he just makes some like obnoxious noise, like, like it just like, and everyone in the whole room is just, you're in this very serious career moment. And Bobby Green's sitting there cracking jokes at Dana White, and the cool part about it is I got the whole thing on video, so because it's like I want to remember this moment. Like I'm getting, and I'm sitting in the front row. Dana's, I don't know, 5 feet away from me, and basically he's in there. He's just like, you guys have an opportunity. Like all you short notice fighters on this card, there's at least 3 of you talking about me. He's like, you have an opportunity to change your life tomorrow. And I'm getting goosebumps and I'm getting emotional. Then you hear Bobby Green in the back, just making weird noises and shit. And Dana's like, what is this guy's deal? And everyone's just laughing. And, it's like, I really got to relate to Bobby, and then to hear his backstory. And, I think it's an incredible story. He comes out, he's tough. He talks shit during fights. And, he's just an entertaining guy on and off, in and out of the ring. And, that's why I like Bobby Green.
Now, the guy who he's fighting, Mauricio Ruffy, if you're not familiar, he's 11-1 out of Brazil, and he's only had two fights in the UFC. He had a third fight that was scheduled but canceled. So he's had 2 fights in the UFC, 11-1. So he's an up-and-comer. So he's getting a crack at Bobby, a known name, a known guy. So it appears as though it's one of these situations where they're trying to build a fighter, perhaps, maybe off of Bobby Green, maybe not. I could be wrong about that. But this guy seems to have I think it's a jiu-jitsu. I think his background might be in jiu-jitsu. Let me look at some of his recent fights. He's got he's won by ground and pound, KO, TKO, and a unanimous decision was his last victory. So I guess we'll see that at UFC 313, but I cannot wait. Andrew Nance says tap or nap in terms of the King Green fight. What do you think? Again,
sorry?
He says tap or nap.
For Bobby?
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't tap, man. I mean, we've seen him persevere through some great stuff. Bobby's super tough, man. I think that is his kind of his lack of his grappling is his back. But dude, he's entertaining, and that's the most important part. Even as a gatekeeper, as long as you're entertaining, the UFC is going to keep you around.
All right, now we're going to get into probably your favorite fight of this card, and I know you got to go in a couple minutes for your meeting. So let's talk about Gaethje versus Hooker, and then once you bounce, we'll wrap it up with a quick preview of Pereira versus Ankalaev. Gaethje versus Hooker. Give us your thoughts about your favorite fighter, Justin Gaethje, and this crazy matchup.
Man, I'm worried about Justin. Is my favorite fighter. Takes more damage than probably anybody has over the past couple of years. He's a super nice guy. I can't say enough good things about him. He's been to Couture's. I've never worked with him personally. And I'll be honest, I've never even talked to him, but the way he just kind of walks around the gym, he's not arrogant. Seemed like he's trying to help everybody. Seemed like he was a good training partner when he's in here. He's not trying to knock guys out. Then you look at Dan Hooker on the other side. He's a savage. And this is Dan Hooker's opportunity that shows that he deserves to hang with the best in the world. My concern for Justin Gaethje is he going to be the same fighter he was before getting knocked out by Max Holloway, man? Because you take a brutal knockout like that, and even taking time off, there's always that idea in the back of your head that could this happen again. And I'm sure he was embarrassed. His whole family would just watch him get iced in the last 5 seconds of an incredible fight at UFC 300. Can he mentally overcome that? And facing Dan Hooker is a great matchup to see if he can.
Now, we've talked about momentum before, whether it's a myth, it's a reality, but it would seem that momentum would be favoring Dan Hooker off of, I think he's had a couple wins in a row now. Age-wise, they're pretty similar, 35 versus 36, Justin Gaethje, but maybe people have been suspecting that Gaethje might retire this year. This could be his last fight, maybe one more, who knows? So this is going to be a very interesting matchup. I'm excited for the fight because I love both these guys, and I'm kind of curious to see how the cards will fall. If you think that, or if Gaethje does pull this off, I know you're worried for him. Just theorizing, what do you think would be next for Gaethje? Would he get one more title shot? Do you think make one more run at the title if it's an impressive victory? No,
I think what's up, Brad? Brad Tavares. It's fucking legend, but I don't think so. I think Justin Gaethje's kind of over that hump of he doesn't need to be fighting for a title anymore. I'd be fine. I'd be fine if he got injured in his training camp and just retired, man. Like that loss. I know he wants to get that loss back on Max Holloway, but I just hate to see a legend like Justin Gaethje go in there and suffer more damage and get rocked again. And Dan Hooker is such an incredible striker that, I mean, he's dangerous to Gaethje. Gaethje takes a lot of damage in his fights, and his chin is just, it's like granite, man. But that knockout was so brutal by Max Holloway. Is I struggle seeing him being the same fighter he was before that, man. And I just hate to see him go out there and fight for a paycheck, especially because he already probably has enough money. The UFC is probably going to take care of him for the rest of his life for all the incredible fights he's put on, man. As I've talked about in the struggle of, changing your identity from being a fighter to a civilian is it's very, very hard. And Justin Gaethje, not only is he a fighter, but he's the highlight, man. He's the guy everybody talks about. He's the guy that everybody gets excited about. So I know him changing that corner, turning that corner to retirement is going to be so hard for him. And, I just hope he has a good support system behind him. But then again, he's a human. I said this in the Sean Strickland video about 75 times. He's still a human, man. And he's not a robot. And, he just doesn't take 6 months off and come back. All right, everything's 100% good. I'm ready to go take 10 more years of damage. Whatever Justin Gaethje decides to do after this fight, I support. And whatever Justin Gaethje decides to do and I'm not going to be disappointed if he retires after this fight, win or lose, just because I don't want to see him take any more damage. I want to see him be there for his kids. I want to see him, be able to raise his kids in a healthy way, and not, you look at Muhammad Ali, look at him at the end of his life, man. Guy couldn't walk, the guy couldn't talk, like he couldn't enjoy his grandkids. And I train with his grandkid, Biagio Walsh, fights in the PFL, man. And Biagio talks about growing up with his grandfather and this and that. But think about at the end of Muhammad Ali's life, he had so much brain damage that his Parkinson's, he'd shake, he couldn't talk, he couldn't walk, and I just would hate to see that. Especially after seeing Justin like that as this crippled old man, after I've seen him in such incredible feats, and it just would be a big time bummer. I think they're starting to walk upstairs.
All right, go ahead, go to your meeting.
No,
All right,
I think. Hold on. Hey, and also, guys, at some point, I might make a video about it. But I'd like to. Did they go upstairs? I'd like to talk about Jose Delgado, one of RAI's guys, one of those guys that good friend of my coaches too. So I'd like to talk about him. Maybe talk about him for the next couple minutes. But I got to go. We're going to a coaches meeting.
Okay, so go ahead and all right, Justin bounced off. We are going to finish, by the way, we're going to go through some of these comments. Andrew Nance says, human highlight, Justin Gaethje, let's go. And Gaethje going to get into pro golf. Yeah, I think he is really into golf. Who knows? He might do that. This is going to be such a great fight. I don't even know who I'm rooting for. And that's one of the, I kind of love those fights. Sometimes it's, you like both guys so much that you don't want to see either of them lose. And that's a catch-22. This one, I mean, I do like both of those guys. I'm a big fan of each of them, but I don't know. I'm excited to see the fight because I think it's going to be great, and I'll be excited for whoever wins because I think it'll be big for their career. I feel like if Dan Hooker does get the victory, though, man, he's going to be maybe right up next for the title because he's fresh for Islam, or he might be one fight away, and that could be cool to finally see him revive and have that big turnaround in his career. Okay. Finally, let's get to the last topic. I would have loved to have gotten Justin's thoughts on this, but we can get him later in the week. And of course, in the weeks leading up to this final fight. But we got Pereira versus Ankalaev. Now, I have been looking at a lot of different surveys, hearing a lot of different YouTubers, and even professional fighters make predictions for this fight. And I think most people are picking Pereira. Most people are leaning towards Pereira for a couple of reasons. Number one, Ankalaev has claimed that he wants to keep it on the feet and he wants to have a striking battle. And I think like 99% of fighters are going to lose a striking battle to Pereira. Is he being serious? Is he trying to lure him into a trap? I don't know. But I also think that while Ankalaev does have great grappling and good takedown ability, when he doesn't use it very much, I think we've talked about this in another video. We looked at the stats. It's very, very few even takedown attempts in all of his last like 10 fights or something like that. But I think if he does shoot, or if he does try and take him to the ground with how much he's likely been working on takedown defense and anti-grappling or grappling with his entire coaching staff, I'm very curious to see. I'm very curious to see Alex Pereira's progress and progression in that area. And I think he should be able to do enough, that in combination with his threats of a shot, right, a knee up the middle or other types of defenses. I'm curious to see how that works and wards off Ankalaev if he does try and go that route. I don't know. I just have faith in Alex. I have faith in him that he has been working like a crazy man to improve his skills. He seems to take the sport and this part of his career so seriously. He's 37. He knows he's got no time to waste. He just wants title defense after title defense after title defense, just making massive waves. Dricus du Plessis said recently that he believes Alex Pereira is the greatest, one of the greatest or the greatest combat sports athlete of all time. I thought that was cool to see that respect from Dricus, somebody who's very intellectual and really, really keyed into mixed martial arts and combat sports. And so for him to give that type of praise, I thought it was really cool. And it made me think about it. And if you think about the level of success he had in kickboxing and how immediately he transitioned to MMA and just rose to the top within such a short period of time, it's a wild, wild story. Wild story. And Alex, this fight is a clear one who I want to win. Alex Pereira, all the way. Huge fan of Alex Pereira. Might be my second favorite fighter right now in the UFC. Probably is, right after Khamzat Chimaev. So let's go. Let's see what happens. Okay, guys, we're going to go through a couple more comments and we're going to close out the show. Andrew says, I like both of them too. I think you're referring to Gaethje versus Dan Hooker. I'd watch Gaethje play golf. Yeah, maybe I would too. I don't really ever watch golf, but maybe I watch him. That's it, guys. So listen, I want to say a couple things to everybody before we close out. I just want to say for you guys who've been on the live and giving us support, we want to thank you so much. The channel has grown a lot in the last month. We've more than doubled our sub number. We're over 1,300, which is wild that this happened so quickly because we've had the channel for over 2 years and we had very, very, very slow, not even linear growth. And then all of a sudden it's just shot up. It's doubled, more than doubled in that period of time. So we just want to say thank you to everybody for the support. We really appreciate it. And we're trying to work harder and harder and harder. If you have noticed, we're releasing content on a daily basis. And we can even increase that if you guys want more than 1 video, 2 videos. I don't know if that would be too much, but we are dialed in. We're making videos and on topics that we love, that we're interested in. So it's all fun for us and we can do more. Again, we're trying to get this membership going in terms of the training videos. I know that's what people want in general. We are just now getting the final pieces and setting up a schedule and making sure it's something that is going to be useful for you guys and something that we can stick to on a repeating basis. So that if you guys do want to train or learn better technique or whatnot, we can have a great means for you to do so. Mitchell Pantino says, new follower. Well, oh, wait, he says, sorry, I clicked the wrong one. New follower. Well done, boys. Yeah. Thank you for subscribing. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. 4 a day, Andrew says. Let's go. 4 a day. This is crazy. Wonder how this channel grew. Yes. Andrew Nance says, you're a new follower as well. Thank you so much. And yeah, let us know if there's things that we can do better. But that's it. Thank you guys so much. This is the best part of my week. Best part of, I think, Justin's week too, is doing the show and getting to talk to everybody. Thank you so much. And we will see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.